Welcome, everybody, to the Wonder Boldly podcast. I'm Christine Santos, bringing to you all of the action steps and knowledge I've learned on my journey to becoming an online business owner, quit my corporate job, and now live the life that I desire on my own terms. This podcast is jam-packed with all the knowledge I've gained over the past few years growing my online business. I am so passionate about you going after what it is that you want. I want to encourage and motivate you to know that you too can live the life that you desire. Thank you so much for listening. Let's go. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wonder Boldly. Today I have with me Hayley Rose, and we met online. Again, as I always say at the start of these, I don't really know how it all begins, but somewhere along the line, you find each other online. And as you, my audience, knows, I am so inspired by women out there in the world making an impact and serving others. And Hayley has started the Harborside Bath Body shop. And when I found it, I might have been shopping for hand soap because I'm always shopping for natural hand soap, because I just have this feeling that we're putting our skin is, what do they say, our largest organ?
Exactly.
Yeah. And we're putting soap on it all the time, every day. I'm personally probably wash my hands too much, but an avid hand washer. And I'm always looking for a good product. And so I came across Harborside Bath and Body and thought, okay, let me take a look at this. And what does this mean? And I kind of dove in, looked around and said, okay, this sounds like what I'm looking for. So I immediately, am on Instagram. I probably DM'd her. I don't even remember, because that's how I am. Like, oh, wow, I just found your website. I'm going to go check it out. I think it's maybe what I said. And from there, I have been buying products and getting to know Hayley. And she has an amazing story that I just recently found out. I didn't actually know at the beginning when I already started purchasing some of the products. And I'd asked her today before we hit record if she'd be willing to share the story, and she's absolutely open to doing that. So I'd like to start today, Hayley, with your story and then talk about the shop. So if you would tell the audience about your story, maybe even start with, I know you were in corporate like I was, and you decided to leave corporate and start this business. So maybe we can start there and talk about your story. Thank you so much, Hayley, for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. So I did work in corporate America for 27 years. And when I was 50, I retired, and I was an officer at that point. I was a vice president over commercial negotiations. And I really loved what I did. I loved working with the customers and working on agreements that met both company and the customer needs. But I really got tired of the politics. And I felt like, even though I was an executive, I felt like my ceiling had been hit, and there, at least, because it was a very male dominated field. And it was like women, could get so far, and you do see them going up further, but it was very much more difficult, I thought. So I really got tired of the politics, and I thought, it's not as satisfying as it used to be. So I wanted to retire. So I retired at 50. My husband was still working. My oldest was in college, and my youngest was at home in his 11th grade year. So it actually worked out perfectly, because it was in 2019, towards the end of 2019, that I retired. And then in 2020, COVID hit, and he was home from school. So we got to spend a lot more time than I would have had normally, which was fun. And when he went off to school, I really felt like, okay, I need something to occupy my time, because I was so used to going go all the time. And I volunteered on lots of boards, and I still had that, but I just wasn't feeling as fulfilled as I was. So definitely struggled from the empty nest syndrome. but I've always loved skincare and body care and makeup. I mean, I've always been a girly girl on that stuff, and I've loved it. So my sisters and I had gone on a trip, just a sister trip for a weekend, and we came across a store that made all organic products, which I had liked organic products before, and I loved these products that I tried. And I kept thinking, wow, our hometown where I grew up in Michigan. So I had my career and my kids grew up in Oklahoma, but my hometown is in northern Michigan. And my husband who's from Kansas, loves northern Michigan like I do. And so had always planned to build our retirement home up here. And my hometown was also going through a revitalization effort to revive the Main Street with our state. So they were applying for a Main Street program. And so I started getting involved in that because I love my hometown. I think it's a beautiful area. And that really started driving, hey, if I believe in my hometown so much, why don't I put my money where my mouth is and invest in a little store there? So then it kind of became, okay, well, what kind of business do I want to have? Well, naturally, I gravitated to things that I like. So I thought, if I did skincare and bath and body products and makeup, and then all the accessories like robes, slippers, all of that stuff, then that would be something that we didn't have in the area. And I would focus on primarily women-owned companies and organic products. So the organic was important to me. I had breast cancer 15 years ago. And at the time, I had always believed that it was because there was a lot of cancer in my family. So on my dad's side, my dad had prostate cancer. He lost a brother to pancreatic cancer. He lost another brother to thyroid cancer. He lost a sister to colon cancer, and his mom had colon cancer. And then another sister had a cancer that was up in her ear or something. It was kind of a fluke thing. So I always thought, well, it's obviously something genetic. And I was 39 years old at the time, and my kids were 8 and 5. And I was completely shocked because I didn't have a mammogram at the time, because I was waiting until I was 40. So the interesting thing was I had got a new doctor because I didn't care for the doctor I had been seeing for a long time. So I had got a new doctor that he was recommended to me by, and I went to him and I gave him this big long history because I just didn't feel like myself. I was just like, I'm a happy-go-lucky person. I'm feeling really sluggish and I feel like I'm a little bit irritable, and I'm not feeling like myself. I just felt like something was off. And he took my blood work and I told him about all the cancer history. And he said, what he told me was cancer really in the big scope of thing is very rare. And it's really a matter of luck. And I just thought, okay, I just don't believe that my family's that unlucky. So I didn't, where I feel like I made a big mistake is I didn't follow up with a second opinion and get a different doctor's opinion, which I felt like I should have, because he came back and said my blood work was fine and all that. Well, within a few months later, my husband was the one who found a lump, and I went in and I got diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer, but it was a very aggressive form. It was a form called HER2. It was influenced by hormones, so it was fed by estrogen and progesterone. And the HER2 designation means that it makes it very aggressive and grows much faster. And it typically hits people at younger ages. And so because of that, before I had been diagnosed, the 5-year survivor rate was like 50%. But since that time, in that 5 years, thankfully for me, there was a huge advancement of a drug called Herceptin. And Herceptin actually targeted that aggressive gene to turn it off, or protein is, I guess, what it was, an aggressive protein, and basically shuts it off. So I went through the chemo, I went through the whole gamut, had the surgeries, all that good stuff. And I had always presumed that it was something genetic in my family because, obviously there's a lot of cancer in my family. So I was tested initially for the BRCA gene, the BRCA1 and 2, which ties breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and prostate cancer, which my dad had, all together because they're hormonal cancers. I tested negative for that. So then they did kind of a wide scope of a test to see other known cancer genes, tested all negative for that. Then about, 5 years later, maybe 5 or 6 years later, I had read in a journal that there was a lot more being learned about cancer genes and new genes have been determined. And so I went back, I went and saw a geneticist. He had done a bunch of testing on me. I still came back for every known cancer gene as a negative. Mm-hmm. And then the third time was back in 2000, probably 18, maybe 2018 or 19. I ended up having a scare where my oncologist thought she saw an enlarged lymph node on my lung, which the type of cancer, breast cancer that I had, if it does come back, it goes to another organ. So it immediately becomes stage 4. It goes to your bones, your brain, your liver, or your lungs. And so when she saw that, I went to MD Anderson down in Houston, and they gave me every test imaginable. Thankfully, it wasn't. It was some kind of, I don't know. It wasn't anything to worry about. I can't remember what it was, but it wasn't anything to worry about, thankfully. They did the biopsy, all of that stuff. And they tested me again for all the known cancer genes because many more had been determined. So we're talking over, quite a long span. And I still came back as negative to tying anything to cancer genes. And then that got me thinking about when I first got diagnosed, the radiologist had told me, I seem to see things happening to people at younger and younger ages. And she said, I can't prove this because I've never studied it, but I really think it has something to do with the environment, whether it's preservatives or in plastics or whatever. But she said, I really believe it's something in the environment. So I didn't really think about that even a whole lot until I started watching some documentaries on Netflix. And it was about how the FDA, a lot of people think that the FDA actually regulates and tests things before they get out to the consumer, but they don't. They actually put things out and they are relying on what the manufacturer is telling them. And a lot of the ingredients actually are very harmful to people, especially in the beauty industry. And the beauty industry encompasses everything. It encompasses hair products, skincare products, bath and body products, all of that is considered the beauty industry. And if you look at other countries, like Europe has banned over 2,000 ingredients. Canada has banned over 500 ingredients. And in the US, we've banned 11. And so, yeah, that's quite starking. So it tells you that there's, we're behind the game, but there has been a lot of momentum at Congress because there was back about a year and a half ago, there was this big release on a study of how so many ingredients in the beauty industry is actually harming people. And they've tied it to endocrine disruption, hormone imbalances, cancers, and all sorts of, low birth rates and all sorts of different issues. And it not only primarily affects women, but it also affects males too. So this has kind of propelled some legislation that's been being looked at the Congress right now, which I hope it does go through and we end up seeing some real reform on the industry. But that got me thinking about, I wonder if it's all the products I use, because I've used them since I was like 13. Every time I could get into makeup or skincare, I was always trying whatever. And so I started watching these Netflix documentaries where it's actually, conclusively determined that this was tied to a particular ingredient that was in either skincare, and some of the preservatives that they had even in products, and even still today, have formaldehyde in them, which is a known cancerogen. So anyways, that got me looking into that. And so I really wanted to look at products that didn't have the known cancerogens, the phosphates, the sulfates, all those chemicals that we know are harmful. I really wanted to go with clean ingredients. So, and I knew I wanted something that would be favorable to women and kind of highlight women-owned businesses. That was another big part, just since I'd seen so many struggles when I was in corporate America. So all that to say that it came down to, I wanted to offer organic, natural, bath, body, beauty, skincare, all of that, plus accessories in my hometown. So that's the long story on how I got there. But yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Wow. So how did you go about finding these companies to work with? So when I hear this story, I would think naively, like, okay, so is Hayley going to create some sort of organic soap? So, like,
Yeah.
so tell us about that aspect of it.
Okay. So I don't feel that I'm very creative. So I don't have that creative gene. That didn't hit me. But I do love the business aspect of it. And again, like when working with customers and trying to find solutions for customers. And so I don't make anything. I'm solely a retailer. And what I did is I have three sisters. So I buy a lot of different products and we tested the products. And originally, I started out with women owned businesses that were made in Michigan, but I'm expanding that now. But that's what we did is we found products that were with women owned businesses that were successful already. They had an established brand and that they were proven that they were good quality products. So that's how I started out. And just by testing them, and there were some that I didn't feel like really was what I was looking for, but I have these ones that I think are absolutely amazing, and I'm really, really proud of that. So all of our things that touch our skin are women-owned companies. Now, some of the accessories, some of our candles, those we have some that are made by men, so I'm not exclusively women-owned, but the core product lines of our store is women-owned businesses because I want to promote them because as I grow, then they grow as well. So that was kind of the whole idea of it is to women helping other women succeed. So
Right, exactly. And I love that because that's my mission as well.
yes, exactly. Which is why I think you and I connected so easily.
Right. Right. So how does one go about that? My audience that listens to this podcast are newer entrepreneurs, maybe thinking about it, maybe just curious.
Right.
Can you give us a little bit of like how, so if I decide I'm going to open a store in my town, how would you go about working with those other, how does that happen? How do you work with other companies?
Well, so first I did the research on, women owned organic bath, body, and beauty things. And then I looked up ratings. I kind of figured out what products they are selling. If I already was carrying them, how did that compare? And then I just reached out to them. Do you sell wholesale? I'm thinking about opening a business, and everybody was really responsive. It was interesting to me because a lot of them have different processes. Some you have to fill out applications. Some was just, hey, we want to meet you and talk with you and kind of get what a vision is because, that's their brand being represented as well. So anyway, the ones that I had selected were all really gracious enough to let me resell their products, which was great. So that's kind of how I started. I would say one of the things I learned too late that it was if somebody is going to be doing this, I highly recommend going to their state's small business association because like in Michigan, there is the small business development center, which I didn't really know about or knew very little about. And they are a tremendous resource. I actually went through a class of theirs earlier this year. So I had been in business for about 2 years at that point. And I kept thinking, wow, what a ton of time this would have saved me if I would have known, because so many of the resources are free and they'll help you with business plans. They'll tell you what grants are available. They'll tell you, help you with your cash flow statements or anything that you might need if you're trying to get a business loan. And they helped with social media marketing, what things you need to be looking for. I mean, they didn't write it for you, but they told us, here's kind of what you need to identify. Here's your ideal customer, all of that stuff. They were amazing. The amount of resources that was there were stuff I was learning on my own and took me a ton of time. And had I known about all this service, and I think every state probably has one, it would have saved me a ton of time. So I highly recommend the first step going to your state's business development center because it'll be a huge resource.
Oh, that's a huge tip. Thank you for that. That's really
Yes.
helpful. Wow. I'm surprised to hear you say that even with social media, they help with.
Yes, we had a whole class on social media on, find out where your audience is. And then, they talked about the importance of hashtags and how many to use and what's your ideal customer and get your pillars of content. So it was like a mini class. It was really impressive. And they brought in people that specifically were social media marketers to kind of give us some tips. So I'm sure they didn't tell us all the tricks and trades, but they were really, really helpful. And that's stuff that I paid for to take a class to learn,
Yeah.
where, yeah, it's just would have been so
Yeah.
much easier if I had just started off with them, and I would have saved a lot of money, and I would have been a lot further along, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
because it took me so long, I didn't realize the importance of having an email correspondence. And because small business, as you know, is so completely different than corporate America. So completely. Yes. And um, two different things entirely. And so, learning about an email newsletter, I paid for a class on that. I paid for a class on social marketing.
Same.
You know, yeah. And when you do that, you are taking these digital classes. Most of them were digital online, very helpful, but you have to make the time to take them and work through them. Whereas this was like, hey, a one-shot thing. They gave us some deals. And I just feel like I would have at least had a really great foundation to leap from.
Right.
And I probably would have been a little bit further along in my social media marketing had I done that initially.
Right.
So,
Right. Yeah. That's so helpful. And, speaking for myself, and I've talked about it on the podcast before, is the money that you spend, or you can spend, it's totally up
yes,
to you. Everybody, do what's right for you, but that I have spent on
yes,
learning, all
that
of
is exactly me too.
so much money, so many classes. And to be honest, I'll have to say, like, sometimes I've purchased a class and didn't finish it even,
Yeah, right,
because like
right.
you said, it's digital. And so you get online, you're already revved up, and then you get
Yep,
distracted by something else in your business that you're like, oh, I got to focus over here.
exactly. Exactly. Because that's it. When you're running the business, you have to wear all these different hats, and it's so easy to get pulled aside.
Mhm.
So, yes, I highly recommend going to your state small business development center. It will be a
Yeah.
huge, huge help to start off.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it's so funny how you said us both coming from corporate. I remember when I started on this journey of, I didn't even know what I was doing. Honestly, I was still in corporate. I wasn't planning on leaving. And I think I found Marie Forleo or something. I don't even know.
Mhm.
Right. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I just started going down the rabbit hole of people, not just women, but just humans out there in the world that didn't work in corporate, that had their own sort of business. And I don't know, it was just so eye-opening to me. I'm like, wow, this
It
is
was.
really interesting.
It is, and it's fun because you're doing something that you really enjoy,
Right.
and you're not having to play with politics or anything like that. You're just being able to do what you love doing, and it takes a lot of time. And I will say, that there's a lot of hurdles, and sometimes it feels like you're taking two steps forward and one step back, but it's very rewarding at the same time.
Agree. Yeah, it is so rewarding. How is business going? You have customers come in the shop. Tell us about the physical shop.
Okay, so the physical shop is on the main street of my hometown in Rogers City, Michigan. And it has a whole wide selection of bath and body shower gels, soaps, lotions. We have skincare. Our skincare, I'm really proud of because it's from Alina Organics, and she's been in business for 25 years, 25 plus years, I think. And she has 100% organic products. And she is actually a chemist by degree, so she calls herself a cosmetic chemist, and she sells primarily to spas. She doesn't typically do retail. I think I'm one of the first retail people that they have sold to, but she sells to spas all across the US. She has spas in Chicago and in Florida and in Michigan herself, and then she sells to spas all across the US. And in fact, in her spa in Chicago, it was named for the best facial in Chicago at one time.
Oh,
So
awesome.
yeah, it's a really, really great products. And then we have all these complementary accessories, like we have robes and slippers and neck warmers and candles, anything like that. So we've got bar soaps, liquid soaps, shower gels, bath bombs, bath salts, you name it, we have it. So
And so how long has the shop been open?
that's been an interesting story. So I did a pop-up store just for like about a month in 2020, which is hilarious given that I did a pop-up store during COVID, but I did it between November and Christmas. So like November 15th to Christmas is when I did the pop-up store to see, and I had a much smaller selection just to see how well it went. and it went well. And so I opened my store in March of 2021 full time. But what was interesting is shortly after I did that, there was some information that came to light about the landlord that I was contracting with. And without getting into all of that, I can just say that it did not fit my core values and for what I was trying to promote. So after we just built out this store and all that stuff, I told my husband, I'm really committed to what I'm doing. And this is a core value of mine, and it flies in the face of it. And I can't in good conscience stay here, which means we had to walk away from our investment and start all over again. And it took my husband a little bit of getting there, but he knew it was the right thing. It's just that we had just spent money fixing this up. So then we went on the search for another place. We found another location on Main Street, spent more money fixing up that, which was not ideal. But this space is the perfect space. It's bigger. It allows us to have, it has a big island in there, and we do classes on skincare to teach people how to use skincare. We do classes on how to help them use the makeup that we sell. We do classes on manicures, how to do manicures. So it's really fun. And it all worked out for a reason, because this location is a much better location in terms of space and what we're able to do inside the store.
And that just speaks to the reality of entrepreneurship, right?
Yes.
Because
yes.
something inevitably always comes up,
Exactly.
And that was pretty big because you had spent all that money.
That was a big one. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
My husband's a very good sport, so he's very supportive. So
my husband is as well. We're very lucky.
Yes, we are. We are very lucky.
So, okay. So tell us, but I found you because I'm not in Michigan, obviously.
Yes.
So tell us about your online and how that started.
So this is another thing that I've learned, which I wish I would have known about beforehand. I knew I wanted a website. And so I went with a website designer who was amazing. And she was actually from New Hampshire. And she built me just a beautiful, beautiful website. But it was on WordPress, and I'm not very tech savvy on websites, so I'll try and struggle through this. But it was on WordPress, which was a little bit trickier and easier to kind of trip up on. And so like things that I needed to have done or changed, whether I wanted to put seasonal products out there or I wanted to have special sales on holidays, at, Christmas, Hanukkah, all of that, have special products, all of that would keep costing me money. And she finally came to me and she said, look, I'll be happy to do this for you and I'll train you to do some of it, but there's some of it, just to keep the integrity of the website and make sure it's secure and not anything's going to crash. I'm going to have to still do some of it, but you could do another website where it wouldn't cost you near this much money. And so in one of my classes, digital courses that I took, there was a section on there about website selling, and they recommended Shopify for product-owned businesses because it was designed specifically for product-based businesses. And it has a lot of functionality. It has all the controls in place so that I can't crash it. So I just literally went online with that new site last week. And it's been good so far. I did get a grant, thankfully. I got a national grant to change over because part of the other issue was at the first place that I was doing business, the landlord, I was like a business within their coffee shop, and they had a point of sale system that I used the same one just because they were using it, and thought, okay, well then if any of me or my team have any issues, we can always ask them because they've been using it for longer. And it worked out fine initially. But when I had the website built, my web designer had tested their e-commerce portion, and it wasn't as good or strong. And she's like, I'm afraid customers' information could get compromised. And I'm like, okay, I don't want that. So we went completely with a different point of sale system, so that ended up creating 2 inventories for me to manage, 2 price changes, it was a lot. So I knew I had to get everything onto one system. And so everything, now my in-store is still, it's halfway there. It's not completely, but hopefully we will be there by the end of next week. And then everything will be on one system. So that'll be amazing. And one inventory to manage, and one price changes, and one place to add new products. So it should be much easier to manage going forward. But
nice. And I know from a customer perspective, I like that I think you added the feature of the bundle.
yes, so on our Dirty Girl Farm hand wash and body wash, you can buy four, you can mix and match, you can buy 4 body washes, you can buy 4 hand washes, or do any combination of the 4, and then you can pick a 5th one for free.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then, so I've done that. And then I also did the subscribe. So it's like,
Oh, yes.
It's going to get sent to me every, whatever I set it up for. I don't remember, but.
So we also have this new feature where customers can go in there and subscribe and save. So whenever you do a subscribe and it automatically will fulfill your order, it will save you 10% going forward, even on that 4 and get 1 free deal. So that's a good deal.
Oh, nice.
And you also get points. So as you build up points, you can get discounts. So if you have an account on our system, every dollar you spend, you get 1 reward point. And then when you get $100 of reward points, you can take $5 off. So there's different ways that the customers can benefit by ordering online.
Nice. Thank you for that.
Yes.
I think I missed that one. Yay. So, and that's all allowed because of Shopify?
Yes. It's very geared toward product-based businesses and very, very easy to use. I mean, after working on the WordPress for just even a little bit, and then now just while the new web designers were trying to migrate everything over to the new system, to the Shopify site, I was getting in there and playing, and without even seeing a tutorial, I could figure it out. I mean, it was pretty darn easy. So I'm like, okay, I think this is going to be much easier to manage going forward.
Nice.
So
awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. And so I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're embarking on the holidays, right?
I know, I can't believe it.
Right. So what does that look like for you? Like, how do you go about marketing for that? What do you do at the shop?
So I start planning in September, actually, about what things I want to like bundle together and offer a package. And like our Dirty Girl Farm, she is one of our best sellers in terms of the body wash and the hand wash. And she also does lotions, but she comes out with seasonal scents, which is awesome. So like she's got a fall scent line right now, and then she's going to have her Christmas scent. So I typically bundle like the hand wash and a similar type. Like for instance, there's one called Be Merry. So it has the Be Merry hand wash and it has the Be Merry lotion. And we call it the hand in hand, and you get a little discount on that if you buy it together. And so things like that. And then there's one maker that I have, and I love her products, but she won't let me sell online because that's her market. So I never sell her stuff online, but what I do at Christmas time is I take one of her products and I bundle it with another. So if you buy this product, you get this one at a discount. So that's the only way I do it. And I only do it on one product, but
Right.
because one of her products, it's a muscle balm for sore muscles. It's one of our best sellers. I mean, I sell out of it all the time. It works wonders. And it smells much better than like your Icy Hot or anything like that. And it works great. My nephew carries it in his baseball bag because when his arms,
Oh my gosh. Wow.
it works really good.
Wow.
So, and that's one, so I sell that with one of our other best sellers, because up here in Northern Michigan, everybody's hands and feet get so dry, especially in the winter. And she has a product called the Hand and Heel Crack Cream, and it's in a balm. But if you start using it daily, I mean, my heels can get so dry. And if I start using that daily, it'll just be amazing. So I pair those two together at Christmas time because they're two of our best sellers.
I'll be looking for that. So during and I already said I wash my hands too much. And so definitely as the weather gets colder, my hands start to bleed because I wash them so much, they crack.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Well, and hopefully using the Dirty Girl Farm products will, hopefully prevent that a little bit, because a lot of soap makers, when they make hand soap or bar soap, if it's a large scale manufacturer, they take out the glycerin and they keep the glycerin for their lotions. And our makers do not. They keep the glycerin in their soap. So the soaps are actually moisturizing soaps.
Yay.
Yes. But the lotion's always a good thing too. So
right. So tell us, what do you think is a good action step for people who are looking at buying natural products? Like, what do you think, what should people look for? So when they go to your site and they're just starting out, like, what do you recommend? Like, what's their first kind of step?
So I do think it's kind of where their interest lies, because skincare, I think, is not everybody does a full skincare system. I've done it forever because I love it. But if people are into skincare, you want to really understand what skin type you have. That's really important, because just because a product sounds interesting, if it's not made for your skin type, it's not necessarily going to work. And I have a skin type quiz. And then if somebody doesn't know their skin type, they can go in there and it will tell them, this is your skin type, and these are the products that would be good for you to consider using. And so that would be one way. If they're interested in the bath and body, if they're a bath taker, then it depends on how. I love baths. And if they like a lot of scent, our bath fizzies by Great Lakes Bath and Body are amazing. I mean, they are super, super moisturizing. So, I can get out of the tub and I don't feel like I need any lotion. I put it on anyway, but I don't feel like I do. My skin is so soft. So, and then we have if they like baths, but they don't really like that much scent,
Okay.
they could use the bath salts, which come in the same type of scents. And they're therapeutic grade, but they're more lightly scented. So it's not going to, like the bath fizzies, the bath bombs, whatever you want to call them, they make your whole bathroom smell good. My husband always comes in there. He's like, oh, it smells so good in here. And so, yeah, I love the scents. So, and then we have the lotions and the bar soaps with that brand. Mm-hmm. So it would depend on, do you like shower gels or do you like bar soaps? Do you like liquid hand soaps or do you like bar soaps again? So kind of depending on what they're actually looking for, would kind of guide them. Or if they're looking for a gift for either themselves or for somebody else, like at Christmas time, our robes are probably one of our best sellers at Christmas time, because they're hotel quality robes that we sell, I think, probably cheaper than anybody, because when I look on Amazon and we're about $10 cheaper. Yes. And then we'll have a sale on Black Friday, of course. On Small Business Saturday, we don't necessarily have sales, but you get a free gift for buying on Small Business Saturday. And so we have different promotions like that as well. If you join our newsletters, you get a welcome discount for joining our newsletter. And then that will keep you kind of apprised of what the events are, because we also do it 12 days at Christmas. And I always tell the people on our email list what the sales are for the 12 days, where if you're not on the list, you don't have that heads up. You just have to wait until it comes out on Facebook or Instagram. So yeah, so there'll be a special product featured that will have a discount.
I love it. That's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. I love doing that.
And now I had a question that kind of relates to something we were talking about before. I'm just going to go for it. So you have people obviously that work in the shop. So where do you, as a business owner, where do you spend your majority of the time? Are you in the shop? Are you at home behind the scenes working?
So I'm mostly behind the scenes. But I do both because I like working with a customer. So I try to when I'm in town, I try to work at least one day a week in the store. And then behind the scenes, I'm working either on the website, on social media, on taking a class. I've just started doing the reels where I'm trying to educate people even on the skincare ingredients, on what to look for. I will say it's interesting because since there's not a lot of regulations on the skincare industry, anybody can say they have organic ingredients and they may not. So Alina Organics is 100% organic. It's certified organic ingredients. Our other makers have certified ingredients, organic ingredients as well. But they may have, it might not be 100% organic. It might be like 85 or 90% organic, but then the other ingredients that they have in there are not any of the harmful chemicals. So they're still considered organic. And like Dirty Girl Farm, most of her products are vegan. So if anybody likes that, and then the nail polish we have is if people like doing their own nails, the nail polish is all vegan and it works really well too. So
I saw that. Yeah, I was interested in that because I always wondered about nail polish when my daughter was very, very young. she's a senior in high school now, but I think even before she started school, I don't remember, she took piano lessons.
Mm-hmm.
And how they taught her or taught the kids was they paint their nails
Oh,
and then it matches the color of the key that they're supposed to hit. And I remember asking them at the time, like, because I was one of those mothers, new mom, only
oh yeah,
child. I'm like, is that toxic?
yeah. So
Nail polish on my 3-year-old? Like, oh.
I know. So nail polish is one. It does have actual nail polish does have some chemicals that are not necessarily safe in there. That's why I really love this brand because
Yeah.
it's all the toxins are taken out of it. It's actually lasts pretty well. It's long lasting. It's chip resistant. I cannot do my nails very well, even though I've taken the nail manicure class that we even offer at the store. I just am not coordinated enough to do my own nails. But what I do is I take my nail polish from the store into the manicure and they'll do it there. One of the people that I go to actually in Oklahoma has told me that they prefer that I bring in this because it's vegan and doesn't have any of the harmful chemicals. And they were like, you can't say that too loud, but I'm glad that you bring this in, so it was interesting.
Oh, because I was just going to say to you, maybe you could, be that middleman to say you should use this product.
Yes. Yeah. And that could definitely be because I have on some of those documentaries that I was telling you I've seen that there has been a lot of health issues with people working in nail salons. And if you see some of them will even be wearing masks now to try and minimize the amount of fumes that they're getting.
I believe it. I always think that when you go into the nail places or even I worked in a hair salon when I was younger, just any place like that where there's that chemical smell all the time.
Exactly. Yeah.
So tell us where people can find you. Tell us your social handles, the website, and all that. So after they listen, they're going to go and they're going to check out your website and start purchasing things.
All right. So our website is harborsidebathandbody.com. Our Instagram handle is at Harborside Bath and Body. That's all one word, and the same for Facebook as well.
Now, do you do your own social media on those two, Facebook and Instagram?
Do. Yes. And that takes a lot of time. It would be something I hope that as I grow, it would be something I could outsource. As long as I could make sure that the content is what I want, I'm fine with anybody else doing it, So
right.
hopefully
Yeah,
that's something that I would like to outsource going forward.
Yeah, it takes so much time.
It does.
It takes a lot of
It
time.
does.
It really does. What would you say is the most rewarding thing about what you've done here?
I think there's a couple of things, and it's interesting. I think one of the things that's most rewarding is because I'm all about relationships. I think relationships are so important. Are the relationships that I've created, like with you. I mean, people I hadn't known before, and a lot of out-of-state customers that will send back me feedback on that. Oh, they love this product and blah, blah, blah. And they'll give me feedback. And then I just keep corresponding with them. And we developed this relationship, much like you and I did. And I love the doors that it's opened and the women that I've been able to meet. So many of them are inspiring. Like you and I have such a similar story, and it's like we connected right away, and I love that. So that's been really, really rewarding. It's also been rewarding from people that have had problems with particular skin issues or anything like that, and then having them try products that actually work and they don't have to worry about any chemicals being in it or anything that's going to hurt them, and seeing just even a confidence in them that they're not having to worry about how their skin looks. So that's really very rewarding. And this is for my hometown. I've had so many customers say that they're so glad I opened this store because it's such a small town and we're in kind of a remote area. You have to travel to do a lot of shopping. And they're like, we can come here for gifts. We don't have to go anywhere anymore. It's so nice, and I'm like, okay, that's great. So it's just, things like that make me happy, that I feel like I'm giving to my community and yet helping people at the same time. So.
Right. I just want to take a moment that just hit me to say, like, thank you for doing what you're doing. Like your story is unbelievable, amazing. I'm so glad you're here with us, and what a story and a journey. And now to be, taking that and making an impact from that, and also in your hometown, and just really I mean, look at I don't even know how miles, how many miles it is, but we never would have met.
Way.
And, now I have these products and I've gotten to know you and you're lovely. It's just amazing. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thank you. I mean, I feel exactly the same way. It is definitely one of the best parts about having this business is the people I've met. And it's just really awesome.
Yep. Well, thank you so much. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you liked it, it would mean the world to me if you give it a 5-star review and recommend it to a friend. I so appreciate you listening, and I hope that these episodes motivate you and inspire you to go after your dreams. Until next time, continue to wonder boldly.